Heading south out of Maeve Village and sticking all the way to the right, we make our way to the Tail Cave and insert the key. The middle two bars of the entrance slide down into the ground and we can enter the Tail Cave. Entering the first room, we have two different ways we can go. We can either go up or left, so we're going to head through the left entrance. Here we see two hard hat beetles. Just knock them into the abyss since we can't actually deal damage to them, and you'll be rewarded with a key that drops from the ceiling. Progressing forward into the next room, we see some lit torches that start shooting fireballs at us, and some green Zoles emerge from the floor. Just take out the Zoles and the fire will stop getting shot, then open the chest to get the compass. From here, we're just going to make our way back to that first room and start taking the path to the north. We emerge into a room with a pit in the middle. There's two red Zoles on the floor. Take care of them pretty easily and then knock the hard hat beetle into the abyss. Then we can push the button to see a chest fall down from the floor. Opening the chest, we're rewarded with another small key. This is going to help us open some of the doors later in the dungeon. From here, you have two separate areas that you can go through, one to the right and one to the left. I definitely recommend the one to the right first. Entering the room, we see two Stalfos and two keys. The Stalfos are going to try to back themselves away from you, so just push them up against the wall to get good hits in. And then after you take out all the enemies, a chest will fall from the ceiling. Opening the chest, we receive the map. This is going to pair really nicely with the compass. Hitting the minus key on our controller, we can see any room that we've previously been to, and the compass is going to point out any loot that we haven't acquired yet. From here, there's a metal plate that can take us into the main room, but let's backtrack and go to the left path first. Entering this room, the door's locked behind you and you're kind of thrown into a battle with these keys. Just take all of them out and try to avoid the corner slots because you can fall through those and it'll open the doors back up. Entering this room, we break the purple crystals and see a mini Moldorm. Take him out in one easy swing. There's also a bomb wall to the left that you'll notice has some cracks in it, but just don't worry about that for now since we don't have the bombs. Heading to the right first and taking out the mini Moldorm that's over on the right, it drops another chest from the ceiling, which is going to give us an extra 20 rupees. Other than that, you'll notice that there's two sparks flying around the room. They always hug the wall that they're closest to. We can try to use the timing or even our magic powder to help get rid of those, and we can open up the chest to get another small key. Heading further to the right and staying on the lower half, we meet two more keys and a Stalfos. Take care of them, and then we're going to use one of our keys to open up this door. Entering the room, we see two more sparks hugging the walls and a Stalfos. Get rid of the Stalfos if you want to, and then we're going to head through the top passageway. Entering this next room, we meet a new enemy which has these little symbols that flash on their chest. These are called 3 of a kind, and I mean, it's kind of obvious, but you just match all the symbols together to solve the puzzle. Opening up this chest, we acquire the Stone Beak. This is going to be used to activate these little owl statues that we find throughout the cave. They basically just give you like small hints and kind of tell you like just small information on how to beat certain enemies or this and that. After that, we make our way back to the main room and try to head up to the top left corner. Here we can push a block in front of a blade trap to kind of make things easier, and then we open the locked door with one of our small keys. Making our way through a little maze filled with sparks and red Zoles, we make our way to the end and push the block into the place, which will open the next door. As a quick side note, if you activate the Stone Beak on this owl statue, it will just tell you to push the block into the pattern anyway, which will open the door. Entering the next room, we see a couple of spiked beetles. Use some of the knowledge that we've gained from the owl statues and let them run into your shield, which will flip them over, and then we can knock them into the holes. Instead of a chest this time, we're rewarded with a staircase. Head down that and we'll make our way to the next room. Here we enter into somewhat of a side-scrolling portion. We actually see some familiar enemies from a different franchise, which is the Goomba. And we can either take them out by jumping on their heads like they are intended to, or we can just slash them with our sword. But making our way all the way through here, we emerge in a long hallway. We see something that looks like we would need to be a little taller to get, but we keep on going and see two blade traps protecting a chest. We are rewarded with a Rock's Feather. This is going to be an item that we can equip into one of our active slots and will let us jump around. Making our way back to the main room and using our new ability just a little too much, we make our way to the very top right corner where we fight a couple of keys and we eventually see a beetle. We can either knock him into the abyss or hop across and use our last small key to open up a little passageway with another chest. Opening this chest, we receive the Knightmare Key, which is going to open the door to the last boss of the dungeon. Making our way back to the bottom right corner of the room, we enter the room with the Sparks and the Stalfos again, and we hop across a little trench and then make our way into the room with the mini-boss. Here we meet a Rolling Bones who will actually push a spiked trap against us and try to roll it over us. Your basic goal here is just going to be to jump over it and get as many hits in on him as possible. Pretty straightforward and simple. After you hit him for the last time, he will explode, and so will the rolling spike trap, and he will reward you with a small fairy. If you have the fairy bottle, you can actually bottle him up and use him later, but if not, just don't worry about it. There's also a teleporter in the beginning of that room now, which will send you back to the beginning of the dungeon. Kind of a cool little shortcut. Entering the next room, there's 4 blade traps on each corner that will kind of get near you if you try to go towards the walls. Go down the staircase in the middle, and there's some sort of like a little dungeon here. You can actually grab a little 3 heart piece that's floating in the air using our Rock's Feather, but that's pretty much it here. Baiting out the blade traps, we can unlock the door and go through to the boss room. Here we meet Moldorm. Moldorm is pretty straightforward. As you can tell as he flies around the room, his tail will glow red at some point. Just try to get close and attack it as much as you can. Stick away from the edges, because if you fall in, you're going to be retreated to that dungeon that we went into earlier. This boss is pretty straightforward, just have a little patience with it, but after you do hit him for the 3rd time, he kind of goes into this like a little enraged mode where he becomes red. Just try to get one last hit on him, and then all of his body parts will explode, and then we'll open up the door to the next area. Also, don't forget to grab the heart piece that pops up on the ground once you beat him. This is going to give you an entire heart by itself. It's not just a 1/4 of a heart piece or anything like that, so this will help you moving on through the rest of the game. Walking into the next room on a gigantic pedestal, we see the full moon cello. This will be our first instrument that we've acquired to help wake up the windfish. After it plays its own little tune from the cello, we're greeted with a white screen that tells us to head to the swamp as a path has awoken in the blooms. After that, we get transported back outside, and that pretty much does it for all of the Tail Cave. After you acquire the bombs, we can always go back in there and blow up that one wall to try to see what's behind it, but other than that, that's pretty much all we have for now. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this guide helped some of you, and if you want to see some of my newer stuff that I'm going to be doing guides on in the future, feel free to subscribe. Other than that, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.